Many of you may remember I have a very sweet, mellow voice. But tonight, I'm losing my voice after a series of meetings, but I'll try to do my best. Thank you, Tom. As always, you are very kind to me. They say wine and friends get better with time. And after 56 years, the friendship of the Korea society is of the finest vintage. For the Korea-U.S. alliance, the role of the Korea society is crucial. It's promoting great understanding and cooperation between the peoples of the United States and Korea through multi-focused programs. Indeed, you have truly created a thriving community. I had hoped to join you on Young Professionals Night, but I was told I was no longer young enough. I'm grateful to be here with so many distinguished guests from such diverse sectors of both countries. All of you exemplify the wide spectrum of the Korea-U.S. relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, as you know, is a very special year. It's the 60th anniversary of the Korean Armistice Agreement. Both presidents of Korea and the United States were present at special commemoration ceremonies. President Obama declared the Korean War a victory. President Park urged that we open a new era of peace and hope on the peninsula. And next Tuesday, we'll commemorate 60 years since the two countries signed the historic ROK-U.S. Mutual Defense Treaty that gave birth to our unshakable alliance. This was more than a security agreement. It was a promise for an enduring alliance. Over these 60 years, both sides have consistently delivered. From these modest beginnings came a miraculous transformation of my country, from ox carts to brand new fancy cars, from a per capita income of $67 a year to $23,000 today, from trot music of post-war Korea to Gangnam Style. The journey toward freedom and democracy, peace and prosperity began on that day in 1953. Our alliance has endured and matured for the last 6 decades. It has been tested and held firm. On this diamond anniversary of our relationship, our alliance is as solid as diamond. It has been a model partnership, now the linchpin of peace and stability in the Asia-Pacific. We stand shoulder to shoulder in the international community, sharing the responsibilities and leadership too. Of course, the true strength of the Korea-U.S. partnership ties lies not in our combined military power, formidable as it may be, nor does it come from the twin engines of our economies, yours the largest, ours the 15th largest in the world. The true and driving bedrock of the Korea-U.S. alliance is trust. The trust that exists between our countries, among our leaders and citizens. The trust forged in the fight for freedom and democracy. Ours is a dynamic relationship, not only of shared interest, but of shared history and values. Trust flows from that. Trust is the glue that binds us. As we continue to confront serious common challenges, we are at the same time faced with shared opportunities as well. Opportunities in 3 concentric arenas on the Korean Peninsula, within Northeast Asia, and around the globe. Tonight, I'd like to address each of these areas in turn, focusing on how we can together promote a foreign policy built on trust. Thank you. To meet this test, the Park Geun-hye government has proposed the new policy of trust politique. I know that trust politique might sound like a strange idea, even a little romantic, perhaps. But I assure you that this is no naive dream. Rather, it is grounded in a hard-nosed assessment of Korea's unique historical experience and the realities of the region. President Park and I believe that trust politique can gradually establish an infrastructure of trust between countries and leaders and cooperate towards common goals. We must remember that peace without trust is fragile, but trust without credible deterrence is simply wishful thinking. The trust politique approach is the goal as well as the mean of our foreign policy. We offer neither appeasement nor confrontation. Instead, we offer a practical, achievable way forward for all who are willing to reach for it. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important goal of this trust politique is to establish a sustainable peace and ultimately to work towards the peaceful unification of the Korean Peninsula. It's a two-track process. One track is peace safeguarding, maintaining peace based on credible and strong deterrence. But peace safeguarding is not sufficient on its own. That is why we must work even harder at the second and more difficult track, which is peacemaking, by building trust through dialogue and cooperation. It's a policy of being strong when strength is needed, being flexible when flexibility is needed. We call this two-track strategy the trust-building process on the Korean Peninsula. How has this two-track strategy worked in the real world? First of all, on North Korean nuclear issue, we have closely coordinated with the United States, Daniel, for example, and the international community for the last several months to build up pressure on North Korea. At the beginning of this year, North Korea conducted its third nuclear test, and we were clearly reminded that the North Korean nuclear issue does not present a remote risk, but rather a pressing threat to international peace and security. To this clear and present danger, international community responded in a concerted and resolute manner. United Nations Security Council lost no time in adopting the strongest ever sanctions resolution on North Korea. Even China and Russia came on board, and they have been implementing the resolution in good faith. These all led to North Korea's further isolation and economic desolation. Now, in the face of ever-growing international pressure, North Korea, desperate to ease it, is saying that it's ready to hold any kind of dialogue without any precondition. But how can you trust North Korea after so many broken promises? I cannot emphasize enough that Seoul and Washington are open to dialogue. However, there should be no more hollow dialogue. Meaningful dialogue with Pyongyang will be possible only after North Korea proves its genuine readiness to fully comply with the denuclearization commitments and obligations. Nuclear arms cannot guarantee North Korea's security. They would only deprive North Korea of the opportunity to achieve economic development. North Korea needs to choose whether it will continue to walk down the path of self-ruin by clinging onto nuclear weapons or take a broader, brighter path of prosperity by giving up its nuclear ambitions. Working closely together, our two countries must roll back the North nuclear program through stronger pressure and robust diplomacy. Given the increasing nuclear threat posed by North Korea, North Korea and the United States will flesh out the extended deterrence strategy in detail in the near future. We also need strategic cooperation from our regional partners, in particular China, as an integral part of this puzzle. Ladies and gentlemen, Even though North Korea's nuclear issue is intractable, in essence, this is a part of broader North Korean question. Our preference in that sense is that North Korea should change both its mindset and mischievous behavior by itself. But if North Korea cannot change on its own, we need to foster a unified environment in which North Korea has no choice but to change, and sooner rather than later. As President Park said in a speech before the U.S. Congress last May, quote, "In order to induce North Korea to make that choice, the international community must speak with one voice. Its message must be clear and consistent," unquote. Around the moment President Park was elected, North Korea tried to test our new government with the same series of provocations. But our response now differs from before. We have not allowed Pyongyang to dictate the situation. We have not tried to placate the regime, nor did we seek an agreement for the sake of agreement. Instead, we have maintained a strong deterrence while leaving a door open for dialogue and humanitarian assistance. Last month, after half a year of stubborn refusals, North Korea agreed to resume operations at the Kaesong Industrial Complex. It also agreed to restart the family reunions which have been halted for the last 3 years. But conversely, just 3 days ago, North Korea once again fractured the promise to restart the family reunion, breaking the hearts of hundreds of separated families. Here, we have a sense of déjà vu. This unpredictability is the hallmark of North Korea's behavior. Some may argue that trust building vis-à-vis North Korea is a futile exercise. Although we may see North Korea's preposterous behaviors in coming months and years, there are several reasons why we should not give up our principled efforts to change North Korea. There are many lessons we have learned from recent history. In this regard, I'd like to remind you, in the 1950s, few people thought the nations of Europe could eventually integrate into the European Union, as we see it now. In the 1970s, few expected to see President Nixon going to China or Begin and Sadat signing a peace treaty. And just 2 years ago, few thought that the moment of presidents of the United States and Burma shaking hands would come so soon. The road ahead will be bumpy, but if we stay on course with a two-track strategy of Trustpolitik in coordination with the United States and other partners, then ultimately we'll be able to build a new kind of Korea. A Korea where peace and stability are enduring, a Korea that taps the full potential of the entire peninsula, a Korea where North and South are directions, not divisions. Ladies and gentlemen, as we work toward sustainable peace on the peninsula, we must also enhance partnership in the Asia-Pacific. This is, after all, a Pacific century. The region's economies are becoming more and more intertwined, and yet within the region, political and security cooperation lags far behind our soaring economic connections and clout. We call this the Asian paradox. Historical and territorial tensions are often to blame, but it should not be the reason why we cannot start a trust-building process in our part of the world based on the common interests of countries in the region. In this context, Korea is pursuing what we call the Northeast Asia Peace and Cooperation Initiative. Instead of creating economic hurdles, we will further enhance our interdependence. Instead of being complacent with ad hoc meetings, we will institutionalize dialogue and cooperation. Instead of waiting for the changes to come, we will make changes. Some question whether such regional cooperation is truly possible in our part of the world. It's better, however, to ask whether maintaining the status quo is sustainable and even possible. Nations that trade together and peoples that flock to see the same blockbuster movies and pop stars cannot long remain apart. I understand that some show deep interest on this initiative, so let me highlight a few things tonight. This initiative will not go against the alliance. Rather, it will complement Washington's rebalancing to Asia, as both aim to advance the security, prosperity, and human dignity in the region. This initiative will not exclude any key country in the region. It will include all stakeholders, including Japan. This initiative will not replace any ongoing effort for regional cooperation. It will replace instead the tension and conflict in the Northeast Asia. These, I know, are ambitious aims, but our approach will be practical, deliberate, and incremental. We'll begin with the manageable issues, bite-sized, you could say, and then gradually expand the scope of cooperation. This is what we proclaimed in the final sentence of the joint declaration commemorating the 60th anniversary of the alliance. Quote, "As allies and Asia-Pacific nations, we look forward to shaping together the future of Asia," unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, lastly, I wish to speak about Trustpolitik writ large and a Korea that embraces its global role. Before I came to speak with you, I attended a conference on global poverty co-hosted by the UNDP and World Bank. As a donor country diplomat, I was invited to speak about eradicating poverty around the world. It was a moment to reaffirm that we are deeply engaged with the wider world. It was a moment to demonstrate that we are determined to repay the world's assistance with our own. This is why we have sent troops to all corners of the world, including Afghanistan and Iraq, Haiti and the Horn of Africa, Lebanon, East Timor, and South Sudan. Now, we are second only to the United States in the number of volunteers we send abroad. And Korea's development agency, thank you. And Korea's development agency, KOICA, whose chairman is here, Mr. Ambassador Kim, and the U.S. Peace Corps work together in the various international development projects. We are also sharing our experience of Sema Undong, or the new community movement, with many developing countries. Now, it's becoming a flagship overseas development strategy of Korea. As a member of the UN Security Council, the G20 economies, and a leading advocate of green growth, Korea is playing an increasingly active role in addressing various challenges, from armed conflict to economic crisis to climate change. This we'll continue to do. To use a word you don't often hear in diplomatic circles, our goal is to become an agent of trust, to become a proliferator of happiness to the world. Distinguished guests, looking back on the path that we have traveled, there have been many obstacles and challenges. But we already thought ahead and stayed ahead. Yes, the Super 301 in 1980s was a thorny issue, but from that, we initiated the Dialogue for Economic Cooperation. Yes, the Bilateral Investment Treaty, BIT, touched up some sensitive nerves, but we went way beyond it and ended up signing the Korea-U.S. FTA, a significant reinforcement of the alliance. Creative thinking and mutual trust enabled us to cope well with changing circumstances and daunting challenges. And this will be the way our alliance will prepare for the next 60 years and beyond, starting with the issues, the defense burden sharing, peaceful nuclear cooperation agreement, and wartime operational control transfer. As the foreign minister of the Park Geun-hye government, I have the honor of helping to write the next chapter in our proud and shared history, toward an alliance that will help to bring a free and unified peninsula, an alliance that will stand as a pillar of cooperation in Northeast Asia, an alliance that will spread peace and freedom around the world. As we begin this new chapter, I'd like to thank all of those who wrote the previous one In particular, I wish to extend a special appreciation to devoted diplomats of both of our countries and to congratulate you on receiving this year's well-deserved Van Fleet Award. Our diplomats here are the unsung heroes. When the guns fall silent, it's the diplomats who work to prevent wars and to build peace. As former Secretary of State Dean Acheson stated in his well-known memoir, the diplomats are always there, present at creation of our history. Ladies and gentlemen, on the southern tip of this Manhattan Island, not so far from here, there is a Korean War memorial that pays a touching tribute to the enduring Korea-U.S. alliance. Through the larger-than-life silhouette of an American soldier, you can view the Statue of Liberty in the distance, embodying freedom. And every July 27th at 10 a.m., the exact time hostilities ceased in 1953, the sun shines through that soldier's outline, illuminating a commemorative plaque, reminding us that we are bound by past and present, and we are destined to shape the future. At that moment, building a world based on trust doesn't seem so unattainable. Thank you very much.